To ensure the safety of all employees, Western Extrusions Corporation has established a set of rules and requirements that are vital towards this goal. It is the purpose of this training to ensure all Western Extrusions Corporation employees and leadership know the general and cardinal safety rules of Western Extrusions. That all employees and leadership know the consequences of deviating from the rules addressed in the following presentation. These safety rules are the foundation of the environmental health and safety system and ensure correct measures are being enforced for the health and safety of all employees at Western Extrusions. Lockout tagout. Only trained, authorized employees are permitted to conduct lockout tagout functions. All other employees must be trained on the principles of lockout tagout and are considered affected employees. These employees shall not conduct lockout tagout. Compliance with lockout tagout practices and procedures is of vital importance to all involved, both affected or authorized employees. Failure to use lockout tagout procedures, unsafe or incomplete use of lockout tagout, unauthorized removal, or tampering with lockout tagout devices will carry disciplinary measures. Any work performed about 4 feet will require a measure of fall protection, prevention, or restraint. It will be the responsibility of each employee to ensure that they follow this requirement. Failure to observe these measures will have a disciplinary consequence for employees. External personnel, such as drivers and contractors, must abide by this requirement as well. It is the responsibility of all Western Extrusion employees to enforce the requirement and ask external personnel for compliance. Failure to follow these requirements will result in expulsion from the premises. Use and operation of mobile material handling equipment such as forklifts must be done in a safe and effective manner, and it's crucial to ensuring safety of all personnel and that product arrives to our customers in a state that reflects the high level of quality expected of our operations. Unprofessional handling of mobile equipment will carry disciplinary actions or the removal from all positions of operator. Operating mobile equipment without a license or causing an injury to another employee due to negligence can be grounds for immediate dismissal. Lifting materials over the capacity of the lift is a deviation to the material handling safety rules. The use of overhead cranes and hoists is one of the most valuable ergonomic tools we have at our disposal. The implementation and upkeep of cranes and hoists prevents many injuries every year. Professional use of these devices is then primordial to hazard prevention, damage prevention, and quality material movement. Failure to use cranes or hoists in a safe manner will carry disciplinary actions. Causing injuries or major damages due to negligence in using this equipment may be the cause for dismissal. Entry into confined spaces is a very hazardous operation that can take the lives of persons both entering the area or those who try to rescue them if something goes wrong. It is the expectation that only trained and authorized personnel enter the confined space and that all documentation and equipment is used to prevent an injury while doing so. Failure to follow the proper procedures for entry into confined spaces or entering confined spaces without authorization can carry disciplinary actions. Safety and guarding are systems and equipment that keeps the users of machinery out of harm's way. They are both a requirement and a benefit to all employees. All hazards that are detected as needing a guard or safety device must have one installed as soon as possible. All installed safety devices must be used and not removed during operations. Removing, deactivating, or bypassing guards and safety devices will carry disciplinary penalties that could result in dismissal from the organization. Let us now turn our attention to the general safety rules for Western Extrusions Corporation. First of which deals with the use of power industrial vehicles. In order to use fork trucks or such, training is equipment specific and must be approved by department manager. The licenses are good for 3 years. Mobile equipment drivers shall always pay attention to pedestrians at all times. Mobile equipment operators are responsible for load capacity versus capacity of equipment at all times. All mobile equipment must travel with forks lowered to ground unless overwhelming circumstances require otherwise. The use of seat belts in all pieces of equipment is always required. Honking at intersections, blind spots, and entrances is also a requirement. And every piece of equipment must be inspected before the beginning of every shift, and if any malfunctions shall be reported, they need to be taken to the forklift shop. As we mentioned before, only trained and authorized personnel can operate cranes. Employees need to always stay away from the path of travel of the crane load. We must always stay a safe distance from any suspended load. The rule of thumb here is the height of the main crane hook should be the distance you sustain away from any part of the load. Cranes must be inspected at the beginning of every shift. Lifting devices, chains, slings, straps shall be inspected prior to each use. Lockout tagout. Remember that only Western Extrusions trained and authorized employees are approved to conduct lockout tagout processes. Lockout tagout affected employees are all other employees that are not authorized to perform lockout tagout functions. All maintenance operations must be performed under lockout tagout conditions for any energy-driven equipment, with diagnostic processes being the only exception. All lockout tagout users must verify or try out that the equipment is truly de-energized of all possible sources of energy, also known as a tryout step. In order to ensure hand safety, all machine guarding hazards shall be reported to your supervisor immediately. Keep all body parts away from moving components or from pinch points, especially your hands. All possible points where equipment may snag or pinch a body part shall be guarded. And remember to never remove, disable, or bypass a machine guard or safety device. If any area of the shop has a sign that says restricted or unauthorized personnel only, authorized personnel only, you shall not enter these areas unless authorized. Many areas in the shop have severe hazards like high voltage, chemical storage, fall hazards. So always make sure to abide by the restrictions established by these signs. If you do not know the risks of a job, do not perform the job until you are knowledgeable of these risks. Only perform operations for which you have been trained and or certified. All employees are to utilize the stop work authority if they believe their safety is in jeopardy or if they are uncomfortable with the task at hand. All equipment in the shop that has inherent danger will have some hazard being protected by safety guards or devices, for example, the two-hand control. No employee shall ever try to defeat the safety devices or guards at any time. All guards and safety devices are in place to protect your well-being. So always observe their proper operation and immediately report any missing, broken guards or safety devices to your supervisor. In case you have an injury or witness an injury, remember that all injuries, near misses, property damages, hazardous conditions, spills must be reported to your supervisor or environmental health and safety immediately when they occur. All event reports must be submitted to health and safety before the end of the shifts, and any hazard must be immediately mitigated to prevent injuries or spills. Our philosophy is that PPE is the last line of defense within Western Extrusion's safety program. All employees must ensure that they are wearing the required personal protective equipment at all times. PPE is required at all times for anyone on the store's operating floor, no exceptions. PPE required for all operational areas: safety glasses, safety shoes, shirts with sleeves, long pants, hearing protection, and for your specific area's personal protective equipment requirements, consult the PPE matrix that will give you the specifics for your area. All employees must comply with all the rules and requirements in Western Extrusions Corporation that are established in policies and procedures or administratively adopted in the process. All safety standards, instructions, signs, warnings, and rules are in place in order to protect employees while working at Western Extrusions. We want to thank you for your time, and always remember, let's be very careful out there.